Welcome everyone. So welcome to this session here on teaching and learning in the modern era as part of the faculty enrichment programme. I'm delighted to be here with you. This is the third session that I've ran this week. We've had really good discussions in the past couple of sessions, so hopefully we can replicate that again today. Just to introduce myself, my name is Graham. I'm from the University of Strathclyde. I will give you a little bit of a background on me in a couple of minutes. But I just want to set some expectations and set the scene for the session today. The way that I would like to run today is in the form of a workshop, probably similar to some of the other sessions that you've been at. But what I really want to do is have you guys working in teams today. And sharing some of the knowledge and expertise that we have here in the room. A lot of us will have been teaching for a very long time, so we'll have a lot of experience, and there'll be some people who might have not been teaching for that long, so relatively inexperienced. So it's a really good place, and I want to use this as an open forum so that we can share some of our experiences with each other. And then what I hope to do is add some of my ideas and some of the things that I've been doing at Strathclyde and some of the things that I do on my courses as well. So that's the idea in terms of the format. What we'll be discussing is I want us to start off about thinking about successful learning and what successful learning actually is. Then having some thoughts about some of the different learning theories. Now I've got some handouts here that I'll pass around and we can discuss those, but I'll actually be looking for you guys to be coming up with a teaching activity within your teams. But I'll give you more information on that as we go along. So taking those learning theories and trying to put them actually into practice, right? So not just simply talking about them, not just simply reading about them, but actually trying to put them into practice. And then in the last quarter of the class, I then want to talk about technology to some extent and how we can potentially introduce technology into our teaching. So the whole session isn't about technology. Part of it will be, but I always caveat when I talk about technology within the teaching area that we have to really think about, is the technology relevant that we're bringing in? There's a real rush at the moment to introduce technology into our courses when it might not necessarily be the right thing to do, right? But I want to share some ideas and share some ways in which I introduce technology. At the end, I'll then give a bit of a product demonstration on a piece of technology that I do use in class, which helps me with interaction, helps me with a bit of class engagement as well. So that's the setup for today. But like I said, I always think it's nice to know the person a little bit more who's standing up at the front, especially when we're going to be spending about 4 hours with each other today. So I want to give you just a little bit of a background on me. So you can probably tell from the accent that I'm from the UK. Specifically, I'm from Scotland within the UK, and from that, I'm from Glasgow, the city of Glasgow. I do appreciate that we speak very quickly, so I'll try to be as slow as I possibly can. If you feel as though I'm speaking too quickly, then just raise your hand and tell me just to slow down a little bit. But I wanted to just share a bit of background on Glasgow, on Scotland, just where I'm from. And here we have Buchanan Street. This is our main shopping street in Glasgow. It's where we have a lot of our high street stores. We have some of our high-end stores here as well. We have cafes, we have restaurants. Glasgow was rated one of the top places to shop. In Europe, it was rated second behind London. So we're a real cosmopolitan city. We're a very friendly city as well. We always look forward to welcoming visitors and learning about visitors' backgrounds. So if you are thinking about visiting the UK, Glasgow is a really nice place to come to. we're only around 40 minutes from the capital, Edinburgh as well. I think very similar to here in Saudi Arabia, we're very much a footballing culture. Football's a real part of our DNA in Scotland. And in Glasgow, we have our two top teams here. It's not unusual to step into a taxi and be asked straight away by that taxi driver, what team do you support? And that's the rest of the conversation for the ride, right? I'm sitting in this blue camp over here, and I'm sure you maybe recognise these two teams up here. And around about 30 minutes from that first picture that I showed you with the High Street, Buchanan Street, we have this place here called Loch Lomond that you might have heard of. This is a very scenic place, scenic environment. It attracts a lot of tourists to come visit here. So you can break away from the city and you're in almost this kind of countryside feel. This is what we call the loch in Scotland, and the word loch means still water, still river. So there is actually no real running water. It's very still. There's a bit of a trickle in it. Sorry? Without snow? Well, yeah, there's a bit of snow up the top here. Yeah, there's a bit of snow up the top. And this is actually a sunny day. In Scotland, sunny days aren't that often. We have a lot of rain in Scotland. So I had to try and find a picture with a bit of sunshine to make it look as though we actually get sunshine. Sorry?
You have one raining season all the year.
The raining season?
One raining season all the year.
Yeah, all year, the raining season. Yeah, exactly, that's it. You've hit the nail on the head. So this is a very scenic place for people to go. And again, 30 minutes from the city, so very nice. And lastly, just to show you a bit of our cultural identity as well, very much like here in the Gulf where you have your national dress, we have our national dress, and this is called the kilt. But we now reserve this more so for events like weddings, maybe events like New Year celebrations, and normally the kilt follows our family tartan. So my family name is McLean, and our family tartan is red, white and green, yeah, so with the little checks. A very usual one that you would normally see. I'm actually not wearing that when I'm wearing the family tartan of the groom, the person who was getting married, and that's a tradition that we would normally do at a wedding. This is my brother-in-law, and he is wearing his family tartan here. We actually normally have a knife tucked in our sock as well, and it's the only piece of weaponry that you can actually legally carry in the UK. Is that knife in the sock of a kilt. But normally now it's a plastic one. Yeah, but you can actually carry the real one if you want. So I just wanted to give you a bit of a background on me. It feels like we get to know each other a little bit better. So on to the more academic side of things. Like I said, I'm from the University of Strathclyde. I'm based in the business school at Strathclyde. We are one of the top ranked business schools in the UK. I'm from the Department of Marketing. We're one of the oldest marketing departments within Europe. I did all of my studies at Strathclyde, and I currently work there as an assistant professor, but just in the process of promotion to associate professor. But my principal subject is digital marketing, so the technology area within marketing. And this was something that got me really interested in pedagogy studies, the study of teaching, the study of learning. And the reason why I got interested in this was because I found teaching digital marketing really difficult. And the reason I found it difficult was because there's a lot of software that I have to demonstrate with digital marketing. There's a lot of practical applications of it as well, where I had to have students actually do things. So it became quite difficult to teach this subject in the traditional lecture format, where I have a bank of students all set up and me as the instructor, the lecturer at the front. So this inspired me to start thinking about ways in which I could run my classes a little bit differently. So I started thinking about, okay, what can I do here? And I started reading around the areas of things like flipped classrooms, blended learning, and things like that. So from there, I then got interested in the way that people learn. And before I worked at the University of Strathclyde, I spent some time at the University of the West of Scotland, and I worked there for a period of time. And I really noticed differences in the way the students at the University of the West of Scotland learned in comparison to the students at the University of Strathclyde. Now, there's differences between them. There's differences in terms of their ability. Because the students coming to Strathclyde, they're very, very capable set of students. They tend to be students with top grades. The students at the West of Scotland tend to be students that don't have as good grades, right? So there's differences. And I started to notice differences in just the way that they learned. So that got me interested in, okay, let's explore this a little bit more. And I started learning about different learning theories. So that's what encouraged me to get into this. And then after I did my PhD, it's actually part of what we do at Strathclyde. You go on to do an MSc in pedagogy studies. So I did this MSc in pedagogy studies, and that taught me all about different teaching styles and different learning styles. And thereafter, I've delivered a couple of sessions very similar to this. One at the College of Charleston out in the United States, and also deliver sessions at New York Sunny State University on their Prague campus within Europe, both in this type of thing and also in my principal subject area in digital marketing. So that's the reasons why I've become interested within this kind of area. Just other academic credentials there in terms of publications and where I've presented some work. So like I said at the start, I want to be talking about what successful learning is. Then we'll move into some of these learning theories that I've got here, get you guys working in teams and relating those theories into practice, where you come up with a practical teaching activity. And then lastly, that last part that I mentioned, where I'll discuss some of my ideas, some things that we've been doing, and where we can potentially introduce technology. Maybe just thinking about how we reframe our teaching and learning. So this is a question that I get asked very often by students in terms of, maybe not quite phrased like this, but asked, how can I be successful? How can I be successful at university? And how can I successfully learn? And to be honest, it's very difficult for me to answer that question for someone else. I can say to them, yes, well, you need to keep up with reading. Yes, you need to come to lectures. These are maybe obvious things that you would say to a student, right? But the way in which people learn can vary, and it can differ as well. So I want us to start having a think about some of this. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to break into teams, okay? I'd like you to go into teams of possibly 4 or 5 within the one team. Okay, and the first task I want to ask you to do, and you might think this is a bit odd, you might think it's a bit strange, a bit abstract, but what I want you to do is the first thing, individually, not as part of the team, but individually, draw. Actually, an illustration. Draw what you think is successful learning. Yeah, whatever comes to your mind when you think about successful learning, I'd like you just to draw it down on the piece of paper. And I appreciate you might think, oh, okay, this is a bit odd, but it's to get us thinking, be us thinking a bit differently. Once you've drawn it on the paper, yeah, I'll hand out paper to you. Once you've drawn it on the paper, I want you to turn it over. Don't let anyone see what you're drawing, and turn it over on the flip side. Then, what I would like you to do is discuss your drawing and discuss what you think as an individual with the rest of your team, what you think successful learning is. And you can use this as the apparatus. Yeah, you can use this as, well, this is what I've drawn, this is why I've drawn it, and this is what I think successful learning is. Okay? So we'll pass around paper just now. So first activity is individual, we draw individually. Second activity, we talk as that team, okay? I'm not going to organise you into teams, I'll let you guys do that yourselves, okay? So if you just break round, as I said, into teams of 4 or 5, okay? And we'll start handing out the paper here. Your picture, then please just start discussing, okay? Please start discussing in your teams. Okay, so hopefully you've had the chance there to discuss your illustration of what you think successful learning is, and then talk about that amongst your group and find out from other people what they think successful learning is. Could I have any volunteers to tell us what they think successful learning is? Okay, is that better? Can you hear now? Yeah? Okay, so I was just saying there, hopefully you managed to discuss your illustration of successful learning, yeah? And started to see what other people's opinions of successful learning actually is. What I would like to do now is just hear from you, if anyone would like to share what they just discussed in terms of what successful learning is. Yeah, so we've got one person at the back here.
Hello. Human learning have different sources, such as classroom learning and social interactions. But the most important thing, when they apply this learning in a professional and personal development, it can be useful for them. So we can say it's a successful learning. So I think there are 3 most important things that play a role in a successful learning: character, confidence, and clarification. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else this side like to share? Yep, up the front here.
Okay. I think it's just like a tree. You have to prepare the roots. There's a stem and there's the fruits. What is in the roots? It's about the planning. How to plan to teach this student. You have to prepare, as my colleague said, we have to evaluate their actual situation. Okay? Then prepare our plan, then the steps for applying this plan. Then we have to put in mind what the learner should reach. What is the fruits? What is the outcome of this learning? So we prepare the methods, how to apply it, and this is the step. Okay? Then we have the evaluation and feedback from the students that make you ready to check what are they in what step. Okay? Then we should continue to check our plan, check, recheck, and evaluate. Then at the end, we will reach the fruit, what we call it the safe graduate or the safe student.
Okay.
From your side, you are preparing the target of licensing for this student. Is he ready or not? This is about the roots, stem, and branches, and the fruits. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone from over this side? Guys, can I please ask if someone is speaking, if we don't speak over the top of them, just to show a little bit of respect.
Actually, in discussing with our group, different, almost, we have a different view, but all of them, I think, are suitable and reasonable, for modern learning. But my draw actually been summarized in teacher, the duration of the lecture, which is 45 minutes or 50 minutes, will give the basic knowledge and basic information to the student, and even direct them how to explore and how to read code, and more information about the subject or the lecture subject. Students have more work to do it, that by exploring and getting more information, either from library and now from internet, and that it is possible because now the world is a small world and you could get the information easy from all over the world. So the student, according this information was getting, how we assess the achievement of the student. The assessment, it could be came through many ways. One of them is through assignment, they will present assignment to the teacher, and teacher, will mark it and find, what is the big value, of the value of this assignment and what the student, did, as a compared with the other. The second one actually is through presentation. Presentation, it became not only the assessment of the teacher themselves, even teacher and his colleagues, in the class. The third one, which is a big assessment, what we call it, in class, what we call it, in-class case study assessment. This became, a big assessment, for more than one subject. Mm-hmm. This actually, it is what we call it learning by doing. Learning by doing, that means, finally, the student, he get an experience in the subject he get it in the university. Why? Because he relate too much on himself, how to get and how to explore the information. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Anyone else? Yep.
By the consensus of our team, we believe that successful learning would be when the learner becomes an active learner towards the end. His learning should be applicable. He should become a global learner or else a lifelong learner. He should be able to achieve self-satisfaction, and towards the end, it should be content and he should be satisfied that he has learned.
Okay. Okay, thanks a lot. And one more here?
So I thought of successful learning roads, different roads. One can be very short and it's closed. It is closed at the end. Another is it can take you to the success, but it's very long. You will struggle until you reach the success. The other one is very short. It can take you very fast to the success. And I like that with my partners who brought different types of learning. One brought in a classroom, there are different types of learning. Can be we thought about it as a student. One can search in Google, one can discuss. Mm-hmm. Another partner brought the idea of group discussion. So as a conclusion, for a particular knowledge, there is good type of learning and there is actually better one. So you need to choose the best type of knowledge for a particular one. Best type of learning for a particular knowledge.
Okay. Okay, so that was interesting because what we saw there was variation in terms of what the group here in this class thinks successful learning is, right? There was variation within it. Yep.
I can't help but look at it from my field of study and teaching. And I think the first thing we need to ask is what is learning, because we are confused here. Some people still subscribe to learning by rote, which is known as the banking system of education. So you come as a teacher, you flood the student with a certain amount of information, and then later on you ask them to retrieve it. For some people this is successful learning. But this system is kind of dead and gone. And today people talk about a collaborative process of learning, where teacher and student collaborate in the production of knowledge, right? And something that we kind of learn in our teaching careers, they can teach students everything except the passion. That's something you can't teach, right?
Okay.
You can only inspire.
Absolutely.
And if you can get to that point, I think you deserve a 5-star,
Okay.
accolade on your shoulder or something like that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully from this session today we can share some ideas to try. Maybe we won't get to 5-star, but maybe we can share some ideas that we can get to that point. And hopefully I can share some ideas that can get us to that point as well, that can inspire students and can encourage them. That's definitely something I'm going to pick up on a little bit later on, so thanks a lot for sharing that. But yeah, so generally what we're finding here is that we all don't share the same definition of what successful learning is, right? Successful learning is something that's probably quite individual to ourselves. We have our own opinion on it. So do our students, right? So us as academics, as instructors have that, but our students also have certain opinions on successful learning. I do this exact task with my students at the start of the semester when I have a new set of students that come in. I ask them, what is successful learning? What they say to me is passing the test, yeah? Getting my degree at the end of university, passing the exam, passing the assignment. Some of them even say to me, getting 50%. Now in the UK, 50% is the bare minimum pass, yeah? The bare minimum pass. Getting 50%, that's successful learning to them. And what I get at with them is that, well, actually that's not successful learning, because you're just thinking about a mindset of just simply trying to pass. Now, obviously, it's exceptionally important that we pass, right? Because we're at university to get our degree. But what I also try and encourage them at the start, and the reason for doing that activity with them, is to say to them that actually the university is a lot more than just simply passing. It's about coming to university to learn, yeah, and to walk away with a new set of skills that you can actually put into practice. So that's the whole idea of trying to do that with them. And again, it might be something that you find quite useful within some of your classes. What I would like us to do next, just for a couple of minutes, forget what that says there in 15 minutes, just from the previous slide. But what I'd like to do, just for a couple of minutes, think about how you learn. I just want you to map out, how do you actually learn? What's the process? What do you do? What do you go to? Do you search Google? Do you look for a particular type of content? What is the steps that you take when you're trying to learn something? When you're trying to learn something new. So maybe it might not necessarily be within your subject area, but it might be something that you've just been trying to learn recently. What was the steps that you took? Yeah. So just take a couple of minutes, just write it down on the paper, the steps that you took, and then I'll come back and I'll hear hear from a couple of you in terms of what you did. Okay? A couple of minutes, just jot down the steps that you take to learn. What is the process that you go through?
What to learn, you mean what exactly a certain point that I want to learn, or just generally?
Say you want to learn about how to draw, yeah? What would you do in terms of how you would find out how to draw? Or say you wanted to learn how to be a photographer, what are the steps that you would take? Or if you wanted to learn about mathematics.
About a practice thing or interesting thing for me?
Anything.
Okay.
It could be learning absolutely anything. Just what are the steps that you take? Yeah? Okay.
You can say, for example, think, first of all. Second, read, go to articles, books, nets, or so on. And then search about the knowledge.
Yep.
After all, write.
Absolutely.
What
Yeah.
did you learn?
Yeah. And that could that might be the way that you learn. Yeah. But it could be different from me.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, guys, so looking at what's the process that we go through to learn. Yeah, what do you do? If you're learning something new, what is step 1? What's step 2? What's step 3? Yeah. Okay.
For me, my son, if you cannot do it, man, you have a clear anything from it.